Now, Donald Trump had railed against the system of money in politics during the campaign trail. Now, he once called our entire system of bribing politicians broken. And he also bragged about, hey, look, when I wanted something, I would buy a politician and they would do it for me. They would do whatever the hell I want. These people are corrupt, and I'm the corrupter. I'm the one who buys you. So he bragged about that during a debate. Now, he also said that Citizens United was an absolute disaster. So one might think that the Trump administration might actually be an ally in getting money out of politics. After all, look, most people, most Americans, Republican, Democrat, Independent, they all agree on one thing. Money has too much power in our elections. Corporations have too much power in our elections. Lobbying is not a good thing. Americans all across the board, they agree with that. So, on that question, will Donald Trump be an ally? Well, I think we might actually have an answer. Now, according to an article in Roll Call, the Republicans that have now been given power under Donald Trump are likely to introduce more money into our political system. Surprise. James Bopp Jr., who is an attorney who supports deregulating the finance industry, told Roll Call, quote, "You can expect the Republicans to be very aggressive in lifting a lot of the regulations that are currently not only on political parties, but on the system generally." Here we go. Here we go. Look, this is classic Republicanism, right? So what you do is that you go and you point out the corruption. You point out the fact that Washington doesn't work. And that's true. It doesn't work. It is fucking broken. But it's because it's paid. The people, the politicians are paid to not get things done, to create gridlock, to make this dysfunctional. And so they can go and they can blame regulations, which is what they're doing in this case. And then when they get when they're going for election, they say that, hey, we can solve the corruption, we can drain the swamp. But instead of fixing it, what they do is they end up legalizing that corruption by eliminating the regulations. What are you talking about? It's not against the law. It's not illegal. It's not corruption. We've legalized that. So now you can give more unlimited money to politicians. What's the problem? Now, Bopp says everybody agrees the system is dysfunctional, but that is caused by the legal restrictions. Again, blaming regulations. So who is going to spearhead this effort at deregulating our campaign finance? Well, of course, it is the new Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell. Now, Mitch McConnell has always been in favor of deregulating campaign finance laws. Basically, he's the cheerleader for let's get more money in politics, let's get more corruption into our politics. He wants no laws so that corporations and billionaires can pour as much money as they want into our elections. Now, I wonder who that would benefit the most. Oh, right. People like Mitch McConnell, who are corporate whores. Look, he is a shameless whore for the corporations and the wealthy. Basically, what's going to happen is if you allow more money to flow into our political system, he'll end up being able to get more in campaign bribes from ultra-rich people who want nothing more than tax cuts. Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Corporation. What can I do for you? Oh, you want lower taxes? Well, you need to give me those campaign contributions. And then I'll be more than happy to do your bidding. And that's what Mitch McConnell has been doing his entire career, is sucking up to the rich. That's why he continues to get elected over and over and over again in Kentucky. Because he's a whore. He takes all that money and says, yes, what can I do for you? He doesn't serve the people of Kentucky. He certainly doesn't serve the people of the United States. He serves the corporations. And look, here's the other problem with unlimited money in politics, right? Basically, it bars anybody who doesn't beg for corporate money and raise millions and millions of dollars from competing in an election. So basically, the end result is you get more corporatist Republicans and more corporatist Democrats. No matter who is elected, the 0.1% always wins, and the rest of the people, you and I, regular Americans, we end up losing. And now with full control, their first target is McCain-Feingold. Now, McCain-Feingold is one of the regulations that was truly bipartisan. You had John McCain and Russ Feingold getting together. And this is after John McCain was basically caught taking soft money and was deeply, deeply embarrassed, deeply ashamed of his role in taking this corporate money, and got together with Russ Feingold and said, let's ban this. All right, let's make our politics work for regular people again instead of the corporations. And well, that's on the chopping block. In fact, a man named Hans A. von Spakovsky. If that is not a villain's name, I don't know what is. Von Spakovsky. The missiles are ready to go. Anyway. Look, he says the McCain-Feingold law was one of the worst pieces of legislation passed in the last 50 years. It was a horrible interference in the First Amendment rights of citizens. So, look, this guy, remember, he was a former commissioner of the FEC appointed by President George W. Bush. Now, in response to him, it's such an interference with the First Amendment. Okay, well, look, it's not really free speech if some people get a microphone, or a megaphone, but you don't. No, everybody should get a megaphone if it's free speech. Everybody should get the same amount of speech, equal amount of speech. If you eliminate money in, the restrictions on money in politics, who's going to get the bigger microphone? Corporations. The rich people. They're going to get the biggest megaphone. And when you have the biggest megaphone, you are the one that you're the person that's going to get heard. And your priorities are going to be put first over everyone else. See, look, if you're a regular person, you might only be able to give $10 to a political campaign. That doesn't stack up to someone who can pour millions of dollars. Your speech is diminished. It doesn't have any impact on politicians. In fact, you can't even get access if you are a regular person. Now, there are opponents of campaign finance reform that say, look, if you can't give money, you can just volunteer for a campaign. You can give your time. See, rich people, poor rich people, don't have time because they're too busy running businesses, so they can't invest their time the way that we can invest our money. Okay, if you're poor, you can invest time because obviously you're lazy, you're not working. But if you're rich, you're a very, very busy person, and you can't afford to invest your time, so you're going to give these millions of dollars in campaign bribes, and we call it even. Well, it's not even. You see, yes, there are some rich businessmen who are very busy. They do take time. They run their businesses, run very successful businesses. And yes, some poorer people might actually have more time to campaign, to knock on doors. Either that or they make time, right? However, there's a lot of people who don't fall into either camp. And these are people that are working 3 uniquely American jobs to make ends meet, who would actually like, for example, a raise in the minimum wage. But they can't go and donate. They don't have the money. And they don't have time because they're busy working all of those hours just to make ends meet. Where's their political speech? They don't have it. What about the single mother that can't afford childcare and doesn't have the time or the money to help out her candidate? Now, what both of these examples have in common? Well, they're regular people. Now, they're regular people that would stand to benefit from progressive policies that there are a lot of businessmen that are against. A lot of these people giving millions and millions of dollars to politicians, they're against these policies. They're against these programs that will help regular people. And see who wins out. The money. Of course it's the money. And what you're doing by allowing more corporate money and more billionaire money to wash our political system is that you're drowning out what little speech they have with corporate money. Now, von Spakovsky, who manages the Election Law Reform Initiative at the Conservative Heritage Foundation, says that he is hopeful that McConnell and Trump, along with the Republican House, will greatly increase the limits on donations to party committees and candidates, or undo the limits altogether. Get rid of him. He believes that Trump's aides and advisors, including lawyer Donald McGahn, another former FEC commissioner who advocates for deregulation, reveal where Trump is on the issue. McGahn on Friday was named general counsel of the president-elect's transition team. Von Spakovsky says, quote, "I'm very hopeful." Ay, ay, ay. And look, he's got good reason to be. Trump's election and the continuing GOP control of the Senate, of Congress, mean that the next Supreme Court justice is expected to be very, very conservative, along the lines of Justice Scalia. Now, Scalia, along with the conservative justices, claimed that all this money flooding into our elections didn't even have the appearance of corruption. Which, look, it's laughable. Of course it's corruption. Nobody gives $1 million to a politician and doesn't expect anything in return. That's asinine. That doesn't happen. That doesn't exist. Now, what are they buying? They're buying influence and access to that politician. Some people buy it for good reasons. Bill Maher, for example, gave $1 million to Obama. He wanted to buy access to do progressive priorities. Okay, but that still shouldn't be able to give that amount of money because it drowns out other regular people. And I'm using Bill Maher as an example from the left. Because there are some people like, oh, you leftists, you just want to win. You're just against conservatives, right? No, I'm against anybody giving money. I'm against unions giving money to politicians. I'm against anyone buying our politicians. And a lot of us are. So, look, they're buying this access so they can get these lawmakers that will pass laws to help them. In the case of Republicans, you've got tax cuts and deregulations and more power in the hands of corporations. Now, because of this, remember, James Bopp Jr., somebody that I mentioned earlier, the attorney for that supports campaign finance deregulation, said, quote, well, actually, he didn't. I'll get to the quote in a minute. But he filed an appeal to the high court in a case, Louisiana Republican Party versus the FEC, that challenges McCain-Feingold. Now, already, we're seeing attempts to strip away all bans on corporate money in politics. It's already begun. Bopp says, quote, with the prospect of a Trump appointment of a conservative to the court, the case has very bright prospects. Do you want to talk about draining the swamp? No. You don't get to do that while making it easier for our politicians to be bought out by large corporations and wealthy donors. And now look, right now we don't know exactly what Donald Trump plans to do. But the fact that Republicans like Mitch McConnell and Von Spakovsky are super excited about this whole thing does not bode well for progressives. And Trump supporters, this is what we've been trying to tell you the entire time. Okay? You don't drain the swamp by electing someone who never gave up on or gave any sort of plan on fixing the issue of money in politics. Saying that it's bad is one thing. Saying it's a disaster, we agree with that. However, your actions speak louder than your words. And what they've been doing is they've been putting people in power who want more money in politics. If you thought it was bad with Citizens United, just wait. The next 4 years are going to have a huge impact on campaign finance reform in America. The last checks and balances we have on unlimited corporate spending in politics are likely to go down thanks to this election. So what do we do about it? I think there's only one way left now. An amendment. Literally, it's our last hope. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation.